There's no doubt that people love the San Marcos River. In fact, people have been coming here for at least 12,000 years. However, the San Marcos River is so much more than a place for people to come and float. It's a vital source of life here to several endangered species. Its cool, clear water makes a perfect habitat to several unique and native species. In fact, some say the San Marcos River is considered to be one of the most biologically diverse ecosystems known in the southwestern United States. However, the native species of this river are at risk of being replaced by the non-native species. Did you know that the San Marcos River is now made up of 40% non-native species? This is a major problem to those who love the San Marcos River and live in it. By eliminating the non-native species, we are preventing harmful effects on the native species and ensuring that the San Marcos River stays a biological treasure. I will be addressing different topics so that we can understand how these non-native species are affecting our river. The people, its beauty, and diverse species are the reasons the San Marcos River is a truly unique and matchless environment. Here are some reasons our river is like no other. Because the San Marcos River is so unique, it provides a habitat with tremendous biodiversity. Most of its native species can only survive in the river's unique habitat. However, the native species are becoming crowded by aggressive newcomers. Most of these non-native species are generalist species, meaning they can adapt and survive in various habitats. The native species need specific conditions and resources that only our river provides to survive. The problem is the non-native species are taking up these valuable resources. For example, wild rice. The upper part of the San Marcos River is the only place in Texas that it grows. Due to loss of spring flow, recreation, and the grazing of introduced species, it is now endangered of extinction. Also, the fountain darter, found only in the upper 3 miles of the river. It is threatened by habitat loss, loss of spring flow, and the introduction of exotic species. Also, the San Marcos gambusia is a fish only found in the San Marcos River. Unfortunately, when scientists tried to repopulate to save this species, they found that all of them were genetically contaminated with a common non-native mosquito fish. They were declared extinct in 1984. Now let's address some of the non-native species that we have in the river. There are 16 non-native plants and 18 non-native fish species. The most detrimental invasive species is the water hyacinth. It floats on the water surface and shades other native plants around it, as well as creates low oxygen below the water surface. Tilapia is another non-native fish species that can impact fountain darter habitat. Tilapia destroys vegetation by making bare ground nests. During times of low flow and drought, this could further reduce already limited habitat for the fountain darter. Also, elephant ears are possibly the most visible non-native species. You can see them along the banks of the upper San Marcos River. They were brought over to experiment with as a possible replacement for the Irish potato. The plant can be poisonous if not boiled correctly. Now that we know some of the effects these non-native species are having on our river, let's look at how non-native species have affected other environments. Cane toads became pests after being introduced into Australia to control destructive beetles in sugarcane crops. Cane toads are capable of poisoning predators that try to eat them, and they continue to spread across Australia at an outrageous rate. They therefore pose a risk to both native fauna and pets such as cats and dogs. Asian carp are fast-growing, aggressive, and adaptable fish that are outcompeting native fish species for food and habitat in much of the midsection of the United States. Introduced in the 70s, they are still rapidly growing and very much a problem. So, how can we make sure this doesn't happen to the San Marcos River? Let's discuss how we can remove these non-native species. It can be difficult to remove the non-native species, particularly in our river, because it is so vulnerable and sensitive. Removal options using chemicals can do more harm than good. Instead, volunteers help to eradicate non-native plants. Some even scuba dive to remove the non-native vegetation and replace it with native plants. San Marcos River Foundation does habitat restoration, including the removal of invasive and exotic species like water hyacinth and elephant ears. I hope you now understand and feel it is important to eliminate non-native species in order to protect and keep San Marcos River a true biological treasure.